What's going on, guys? It's Alex from TECHAERIS, and today we're taking a look at the Samsung Notebook 7 Spin. Straight ahead. Welcome back, guys. It's Alex from TECHAERIS again, and we are going to take a look at the Samsung Notebook 7 Spin, which is Samsung's little hybrid laptop, which you can use in various modes. Laptop mode, tablet mode, tent mode, and presentation mode. I think each manufacturer has a different way of saying, different verbiage for each mode. That's just the way I've learned how to say them. But yeah, this is one of those 360 hinged laptops. You'll see they're kind of been pretty popular lately. I don't particularly use laptops as tablets, but I understand the need for it and the reason why some people would want that. So it's a good feature to have. Personally, I just always use it in a laptop mode unless I'm watching a movie and I happen to be at my desk. I'll put it in presentation mode like this, and then you can watch a movie comfortably without having the keyboard in the way, which is kind of nice. But otherwise, I don't watch movies on my laptop that often. So well, let's get right into what this thing has. This is a little bit better than an entry-level laptop. You can get probably mid-range specs, I would call it. More of a mid-range laptop. Price on this is $899 at Samsung, and you can find it a little bit cheaper at Amazon, but not much. Actually, it might be like $100 cheaper. I might leave the links below for you so you can take a look at which price point is best for you guys. This thing's rocking an Intel Core i5-8250U, 1.6 gigahertz CPU with a Turbo Boost 3.4. The GPU is integrated. It's an Intel UHD graphics 620, so it's not a dedicated. There's no dedicated GPU on this machine. If you're looking for an Adobe Creative Suite machine or something to do a lot of gaming on, this probably is not going to do you well. You can do a little bit of light gaming on it, but without that dedicated graphics card and without a little bit more robust CPU, you're really not going to be able to run big, heavy games on this. It's got 8 gigs of RAM, DDR3 RAM inside. Comes with 256 gigs of SSD storage. Excuse me. The battery is 43 watt hours battery, and they say you'll get about, I think they said like 9.5 hours of battery life from that battery which is inside, which is it's close. We average just over 8 hours with my normal use, but everybody's usage is going to be different, so your use case may be different than mine, so you might be able to get 9.5 hours, maybe a little more, or you might even get less than the literally over 8 hours that I got. It all depends, and Samsung makes note of that in their notes. Its battery life will vary depending on the product, model configuration, power management settings, etc., etc. So average for us was 8 hours on battery life, and that's just doing web browsing, general YouTube watching, some Netflix here and there, of course, Word docs and emailing, all the basic stuff that most people will do with a laptop. There was not, we didn't do anything intensive with this machine. We didn't put it through Photoshop or Lightroom or any of that, and you might be able to handle that on a small scale, but it's definitely not made for professionals. This is more of a consumer-based machine. So battery life is actually really decent, and considering they say 9.5 hours, we just got a little over 8. I would say it's good battery life for what they advertise. Again, it all depends on what you're going to do with it. The display is a 13.3 inch FHD LED 16.9 touchscreen display. So it's running at 300 nits. It's a really nice display. Samsung tends to make really nice, vibrant displays, so there's nothing wrong with this display. It's a little bit glare on it. It's got that glossy finish to it, so The viewing angles aren't the greatest. They're not bad, they're not horrible, but they're not the greatest. I think if unlike their Samsung Notebook 9, which runs at 500 nits, this 300 nit panel would have been better if it would have had, if the nits would have been, if the brightness would have been able to go up a little bit higher, viewing angles would have been better. But they have a 300 nit in here, so, and it's also cheaper, so it's a trade-off, price versus how bright your panel is going to get and how colorful it's going to get. You can't expect for under $1,000 to get the absolute best panel in the world. Of course, you got the front-facing camera. But the webcam is the webcam. I've always said it. Really nothing special with webcams. It's just a VGA webcam. It does what it needs to do, and nothing more. This thing does have a fingerprint sensor on the side here, and we'll show you that real quick. Right on the side, right where my thumb is. And that thing is actually really, really fast, surprisingly. Most manufacturers I've seen have put their fingerprint sensors here on the palm rest, and it's kind of a convenient place to put it. Samsung chose to put it in the side here, which is actually nice too. When you use it in tablet mode, it's accessible there, so it's really nice, and it's actually, like I said, really, really fast. So I have no complaints at all with that fingerprint sensor. It does really well. The keyboard is backlit, and it's very comfortable to type on. The spacing is a little bit. I felt like the spacing was a little bit far apart, more so than some other keyboards I used. Travel is nice. It's a little bit deeper travel than I like. It's not super deep, but it's not super shallow. I wouldn't even say it's in the middle. It's hard to say, but it's a decent keyboard. I don't have any complaints over the keyboard. It's backlit, which is really nice, and the backlighting on this one is actually nicer than the Samsung Notebook 9, which had some kind of muddy backlighting. But this one is actually nice and vibrant, and you can really see it. The build quality on this thing is decent. It's the I wrote in my written review that the design is ho-hum, and it really is. I mean, it's just, there's really nothing to write home about on this laptop. The materials feel solid, although they don't feel super premium either, but they feel solid. So, like, the back portion of this machine is interesting. It feels kind of soft touch. Rubbery, soft, touchy here, and it's great for grip, like when you're carrying it around. You don't feel like it's going to slip out of your hand, which is nice, but it just feels strange. That and the top portion, I don't know if this is aluminum or plastic. It feels like plastic, but it's just sometimes hard to tell. But basically, it's just a basic laptop. I mean, it's there's nothing that screams like flair here at all. It would have been nice to see them make the hinges a different color, maybe like aluminum or some other color, black, something to give it a little bit of a flair around it. I do like how the hinges are kind of got the indentation to go along the back end here, so that kind of gives it a nice little design flair, but nothing huge. Like I said, it's kind of a ho-hum design. It's not ugly by any means, so I'm not saying that. It's just not, it's just not spectacular. So nobody's going to notice this thing, which is probably a good thing. Probably less likely to get it stolen. So let's go around real quick, show you the ports and what this thing has around as far as I/O goes. USB 2.0 right on the right-hand side, along with the fingerprint scanner sensor, and then those are flanked by two microphones. So you can use Cortana and your Skyping and do whatever else you need a microphone for. The back end, you have a nice venting system for pushing the hot air out of the internals, so it keeps everything nice and cool inside. The bottom, nothing much to say here except for you have speakers on either side here. The speakers are fine. They're not super spectacular or tinny, but they're laptop speakers, and they're mid-range laptop speakers. Downfiring, which is always a minus in my opinion. It's just really kind of sucky when you're trying to watch something or listen to something and the sound is firing down on your lap or on the table. They work better when you're in tent mode or a presentation mode or something like that. Then you get a little bit better sound, but otherwise they're your basic laptop speakers, nothing spectacular there. The other side we'll flip around. We have the barrel port. This is for your power. I wish companies would stop using barrel ports and just move everything over to USB-C. Make it so much easier, but they continue to use barrel ports, and Samsung's not the only one. HDMI port, USB 3.0 port, and there's USB Type-C 3.1 port, and of course your headphone jack. And that's about it for I/O. Let's open this guy up and take a look on the inside. And there's the fingerprint sensor, so it works pretty quick and fast. You have a 13.3 inch full HD display. The panel's nice and bright. It's very, I mean, for 300 nits, it's you know, it's bright indoors. You go outside in bright sunlight, you might struggle a little bit, just because the brightness isn't as nice as I think it could be. 500 nits would be nice. 400 nits would have been even better, or not even better, but would have been acceptable. 500 nits would have been even better. So you got touchscreen, obviously, since you need to put this in the tablet mode. If you're going to use tablet mode, then you know you got to obviously have touchscreen. And that rotation, let me go into tablet mode here. That rotation takes a couple seconds. It always does that. Even it doesn't matter which brand of laptop hybrid you're using. Windows tends to just take it feels like forever, but it's just a quick second or two for it to get oriented in the correct orientation. So we're going to go out of tablet mode here. We talked about the keyboard already. Trackpad is actually pretty decent. It's not the greatest trackpad in the world. It's not the worst in the world. It has a little drag to it. I wish it was a little glossier, a little glidier, but it is what it is. It's comfortable enough. The clicks, I'm not much of a clicker. I tend to use just the taps. So if you're someone that likes to click, to actually do a click, to hear the click, to feel the click, this does take a little bit of force to push in to get that response, that tactile response. I think it could be better, but it's not too bad. We talked about the keyboard already. We talked about the design. Like I said, it's a little bit bulky, a ho-hum design, but also a little bit bulky, especially when you're using it in tablet mode. It's a little unwieldy, and that's part of the reason why I don't use laptops in tablet mode, just because they're just so big. I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't think that tablet mode is great for my use case. With the keyboard still hooked onto it, the keyboard is really thick, and I don't know if you can see that with the camera, but you can see how thick that is. It's definitely not iPad thin, and it's definitely got weight to it. So, I mean, if you're comfortable using it in tablet mode, then that is definitely something that you might like about this laptop, about these hybrids. But it is bulky, a little bit fat, so on that end it's a little bit unwieldy in my opinion. As far as software goes, runs Windows 10. Nothing much to say about that. It is what it is. Windows 10 is great. I mean, some might disagree with me on that, but it is what we have. You're either going to run Mac OS, or you're going to run Windows, or you're going to run Linux. And if you're, most people are purchasing Windows machines, Windows 10 runs fine. It does come with a few pieces of bloatware in here, some games that are installed, some like Autodesk Sketch, Paint 3D, Wild Tangent games. Most of that stuff you can uninstall. I wish they never put it in the first place. Of course, they give you a 60-day trial of McAfee Live Safe, which I think, again, they should not even bother installing. But that is part of the game that PC makers play. There's a bunch of Samsung apps on here that will help. They want you to take advantage of the Samsung Gallery, Samsung Messages, Samsung Recovery and Settings, the Studio Plus, Samsung Update, Wi-Fi Camera, Wi-Fi Transfer. All these things you can uninstall if you'd like, or not even use them. They don't really affect anything. I wouldn't call the Samsung stuff bloatware. It's just they're added software that they are hoping that you'll use. Don't have to use it. It runs fine without it. But you can uninstall it if you'd like. So we already talked about what the specs were on this thing. You can get the bigger Notebook 7 Spins with a 15.6-inch screen, and you can upgrade the RAM and the storage on those. This one, it performs well. Like I said, web browsing, emailing, word processing, everything's lag-free and smooth. I think most people are going to be using this for that type of use case. It's not going to be a performance machine. So for that use case, I think it works great. I don't think that you'll have any issues with it. Price point, it's $8.99 on Samsung's website, like I said, and a little bit cheaper on Amazon right now. You can it's competitively priced. It might be a little bit more than some of its competitors, so you might want to shop around if you're looking to save money, but still kind of have the same kind of specs. You might find something that you might be able to squeeze into for $100 cheaper or something. You might find that out there, but it's still a great machine for what it is, and for basic computer use. It works great. I think Samsung has their design cues across their laptops seem to be kind of all the same. I think with most PC makers it is that way. And I don't mind Samsung's designs, but this one just seemed a little bit less appealing as far as looks and feel go to me. So I would suggest you take a trip out to your local PC store. Hopefully you have one. You may or may not have one, and play with it. Feel it. See if it's something that you like. As far as aesthetics go and as far as feel goes, you may or may not like it. As far as performance goes, it's you can't go wrong with it for a basic machine. I think you can probably find a couple other brands that might be a little bit cheaper, and you might want to go that route. But if you're really digging Samsung, then this is not a bad machine to go with. It's definitely a decent performer for your basic needs, and I think it'll do some people well. And check out the full review written down below in the links, and we'll leave a few other links down there for you. And we will talk to you guys later in the next review.